There's a spark in the air. Can you feel it now? Heaven is moving, shaking the ground.
Welcome back to the deep dive. If you've been with us for a while, you know we usually like to take apart pretty complex systems.
Yeah, we do. We're usually very, very mechanics focused on this show.
Right. We look at the future of AI, or we dissect global supply chains. We love the how and the what.
Absolutely. The nuts and bolts of how things work.
But today we are shifting gears a bit. We're going off-road. Because sometimes the most complex system out there isn't a computer network.
No, it's not.
It's the internal landscape of a human being who's going through a massive storm.
The internal weather, I like to call it.
Exactly, the internal weather. And I want to be really specific about who we are talking to today. We usually talk to the learner.
Yeah, that person who wants to get smarter or faster at what they do.
Right. But today, I'm picturing a version of you, our listener, who isn't trying to optimize productivity right now. You are just trying to survive the day.
It's a very different kind of listener profile for us. We were talking to the weary.
Yes, the weary, the worried. Specifically, the person who feels weak on their Christian faith journey right now.
Because that journey can get incredibly heavy.
It really can. You look at the dashboard of your life right now, your job, your bank account, your relationships, maybe even your sense of purpose or your faith in God, and the check engine light is just flashing red.
The fuel light is on. Everything just feels low.
Low. Yeah, that's the word. And it's a low season.
And I think everyone, regardless of how successful they look on paper, knows exactly what that feels like.
Oh, totally.
It's that feeling of being benched. You feel like the actual game of life is happening out there on the field and you are stuck in the locker room.
Or out in the parking lot.
Right, in the parking lot, completely disconnected from your purpose.
Benched is a great way to put it. And the natural instinct when you feel benched or when you feel like you're losing your faith because of your current circumstances is to just shut down.
You hibernate.
Yeah, you tell yourself, well, I'll wake up and start living again when the sun comes out.
I'll be a leader again when I get that promotion.
Yeah, exactly. I'll be faithful to God again when he fixes this massive mess I'm in.
It's the pause button mentality. We pause our purpose because we just don't like the environment we're standing in.
But we have a source today that basically takes a hammer to that pause button.
Completely shatters it.
We are doing a deep dive into a text titled The Luminescence of Divine Purpose. And all the insights we are unpacking today, and there are a lot of them, come directly from the writings at Words of Ebenezer.
And I have to admit, when I first looked at this text and saw the title, I thought, okay, Luminescence of Divine Purpose. That sounds a bit, I don't know, a bit poetic.
Like a greeting card.
Yeah, exactly like a greeting card. Maybe a bit flowery.
But it's really not.
Not at all. When you actually get into the architecture of the argument here, it is incredibly strategic.
It's not just a message to cheer you up.
No, it is a technical manual for how to operate your life when all the lights go out. It challenges the fundamental assumption we all have that your location determines your value.
Right. And the mission of this deep dive today is to prove to you, the listener, that your lowest season, this exact thing you hate right now, might actually be your most powerful strategic position.
Which just sounds completely counterintuitive right out of the gate.
It does.
You hear that and you think, how can I be powerful when I'm this weak? How can I have any influence when I feel invisible?
That is the exact paradox we're going to explore.
True.
Because at Words of Ebenezer argues that your environment, whether it's a literal palace or a dark pit, does not determine your influence. Your light does.
And if we can get the listener to really grasp the mechanics of that, I mean, it changes everything about how you wake up tomorrow morning.
It shifts the entire focus from trying to escape your situation to focusing on a mission.
The mission, exactly. But we are getting a little ahead of ourselves.
We are. Let's back up. Let's start with the problem itself. The core thesis of the source starts with a pretty massive strike against our usual metrics of success.
It opens with a direct hit on the human ego. The source says, being in a high position is not the greatest achievement.
Okay, hold on. I have to play devil's advocate here for a second.
Go for it.
Because if I pull out my phone and scroll through LinkedIn right now or Instagram or look at the hierarchy of literally any organization, being in a high position is the achievement.
It is the ultimate goal.
Right. Being the VP, the CEO, the founder, the bishop, that's the finish line.
That is absolutely the societal narrative.
Yes.
We equate the concept of blessing with elevation.
Up and to the right.
Exactly. We think, well, if God is with me, I should be moving up the ladder. We think the hard evidence of divine favor is comfort, prestige, and a corner office with a really nice view.
And the really dangerous corollary to that is if I am down here in the basement, struggling to pay my bills or dealing with a health crisis or my family is falling apart, then I must have failed or God has completely forgotten about me.
Yes. We interpret the valley as a punishment or a demotion.
We feel forgotten.
But the source flips the script entirely. It argues that true power isn't the position itself. True power is defined by the light you carry. And here is the key phrase that anchors the whole document, even in your lowest season.
Even in your lowest season. So the variable in the equation isn't the season.
No.
The variable is the light.
Precisely. Think about it this way. Literally anyone can shine when the spotlight is pointed directly at them.
Sure.
If you put a completely mediocre performer on a massive arena stage with million-dollar lighting rigs all around them, they look incredibly bright.
But that's just reflected light.
Exactly. That is environmental light. At Words of Ebenezer is talking about source light, the kind of light that generates from within you.
It's the difference between the moon and the sun.
Oh, I like that.
Right. The moon is just a rock that reflects what's hitting it. But the sun actually burns from the inside out.
That is a brilliant analogy. Or, to use a more domestic one, think about a mirror and a lamp. A mirror needs a really bright room to be useful at all.
Right. In the dark, it's useless.
But a lamp is the most useful exactly when the room is pitch black.
I really like the lamp analogy because it implies utility. It has a job to do. And the text goes on to talk about this concept of attraction. It says, when you choose to be a light, you will attract honor, dignity, and respect wherever you find yourself.
Wherever you find yourself. I want to pause on that specific clause.
Yeah, let's look at that.
Wherever. That implies that the geography, the physical where of your life, is completely irrelevant to the attraction mechanism.
Meaning, you don't have to be sitting at the head of the boardroom table to attract respect.
You don't have to be in the palace. You don't have to be standing on the main stage. You could be working in the mailroom. You could be lying in a hospital bed. You could be in a prison cell.
The physics of light don't change just because the room changes.
Exactly. The physics remain constant.
This is a massive idea for the listener who feels totally stuck right now. Because usually our thought process is, I need to get out of this awful situation so I can get my dignity back.
Right. We think, I'm embarrassed by my debt, so I'm going to hide from my friends until I fix it, and then I'll be dignified again.
Yes, I'll reemerge when I'm finally presentable.
But the source is saying, no, that's backwards. You don't need to change your circumstance to regain your dignity. You need to turn on your light.
Because the dignity comes from the light itself, not the location.
Exactly. If you bring a high-powered, heavy-duty light into a dark, damp, dirty basement, the basement doesn't make the light dirty.
No, the light cuts right through it.
The light makes the basement visible. It completely changes the atmosphere of the room. You attract respect not because of the fancy chair you sit in, but because of the spirit and the light you bring to that chair.
Which totally stops the waiting game. It means I can actually be powerful right now, today, right in the middle of this awful mess I'm in.
You can be the most powerful person in any room, even if you have the lowest title on the org chart, if you have the brightest light.
Okay, that sounds incredibly inspiring. But I know it also sounds a little abstract to someone who's really hurting.
It can, yeah.
You know, just be the light. What does that actually look like in practice? Fortunately, at Words of Ebenezer doesn't leave us hanging in philosophy land here. They ground this entire concept in a very specific historical narrative.
The manger paradox.
Yes,
Yeah.
the ultimate case study. The story of Mary, Jesus, and the manger. Now, we have to serve a bit of a warning here for the listener. We really need to strip away the glossy Christmas Kent version of this story.
We absolutely do. We have sanitized this historical event to the point of irrelevance.
Holy.
When we think of the manger, we think of soft, glowing golden lighting. We think of clean, fresh straw, cute little animals sitting quietly, a perfectly silent night.
We think of a children's pageant.
Right. A highly produced play. But the source explicitly contrasts a palace or a place of prestige directly with a manger. So we need to be starkly real about what a first-century manger actually is.
It is a feeding trough for livestock.
Yes. It is inside a damp stable or a cold cave. It literally smells like manure.
It's freezing. It's totally unsanitary.
It's loud. It's crowded with animals.
It is the absolute definition of a low place.
It is the ultimate zero-status environment. If you were searching for a king or a messiah or even just a person of moderate influence, the manger is the absolute last place on earth you would ever look.
It represents the earthly condition that usually causes us to just give up.
Exactly. It's the condition that discourages people.
Put yourself in Mary's shoes for just a second. You have been given these massive, world-changing prophecies. You have this ultimate divine purpose. And then reality hits you.
And reality is a dirty barn.
Yeah. If that were me, honestly, I'd be thinking I failed. I did something wrong.
You would naturally think God has abandoned me. Or maybe I completely misunderstood the assignment.
Right, like Google Maps took me to the wrong address. This can't be it.
Recalculating. You would look around at the environment, the dirt, the horrible smell, the extreme poverty of the moment, and you would say, there is no influence here. There is absolutely no power here. This whole thing is a mistake.
It's a massive crisis of faith. How on earth can I be special or carrying out a divine plan if my baby is sleeping in dirty straw?
Exactly. And that is exactly where the listener might be right now. But then the text brings in a new variable that completely changes the math of the situation. The wise men.
The wise men. And the source makes a really, really interesting observation about their behavior. It says they were not discouraged by his location or earthly condition.
Now, I want you to really stop and think about the absurdity of that statement.
Not discouraged.
Right. These are the wise men. In the context of the ancient world, these are the top-tier intellectuals. They are nobility. They are incredibly wealthy. They are the kingmakers of the East.
They are guys who are used to walking on polished marble floors.
Yes. They are used to fine silk and imported perfumes.
They're basically used to the ultimate VIP lounge. They do not do barns.
They absolutely do not do barns. Imagine them rolling up in this massive, wealthy caravan, having traveled for months and months across dangerous terrain, carrying actual gold and frankincense.
Investments worth an absolute fortune.
Yes. They arrive at the exact coordinates they've been tracking, and it's a stable.
The cognitive dissonance there must have been completely overwhelming.
It should have been. Any normal investor, if we view them through that modern lens, would have looked at that squalid location and said, nope, we have the wrong place.
The king isn't born in a trough.
Exactly. A king is born in King Herod's palace down the road. A king is born in the ancient equivalent of a luxury hospital with the best medical team available.
They really should have turned the camels around. They should have walked right away.
But they didn't. And the question is, why?
Yeah, why didn't they walk away?
At Words of Ebenezer gives us the exact answer. Because they weren't looking at the real estate.
They were looking at the star.
Yes. They saw his star, the light he carried and represented.
The light he carried and represented. That right there is the aha moment for me. High-value individuals and the wise men clearly represent the highest worldly value here. Can spot real value in low-value locations, but only if the light is present.
So the light completely overrides the location.
Completely. The light made the manger irrelevant.
Or rather, I would say the light made the manger the absolute center of the world at that moment.
Oh, that's good.
Think about this. The palace, Herod's grand palace, was literally just down the road. It had the marble columns, it had the armed guards, it had the undeniable status, but it didn't have the light.
So the wise men walked right past the palace to get to the barn.
the palace came to the barn.
Wow.
That is the immense power of the manger paradox. The environment didn't matter one bit to them. Only the light mattered.
Man, that is powerful. The palace came to the barn. So if you are listening to this right now and you feel like you are trapped in the barn, if you feel like you are deep in a low season,
Do not apologize for the barn.
Right.
Do not be ashamed of the barn you're in, focusing entirely on the light. Because if your light is bright enough, the resources, the right connections, the destiny helpers, the wise men you desperately need, they will come directly to the barn.
they won't care about the smell of the manure if the light is true. I think we need to break down the actual mechanics of this, because I can easily hear the skeptic in the audience right now saying, okay, that's a really nice Bible story, but how does that actually work for me on a Tuesday morning?
Right. I'm not Jesus. I don't have a literal glowing star hovering over my apartment building.
Fair point. But at Words of Ebenezer actually breaks this down into a sequence of events. It's almost structured like a formula for how divine light functions in the real world.
It's not magic. It's mechanics.
Let's trace it. The text says that light is what attracts men to you. And then it clearly lists the steps in the narrative. Step 1, they saw the star.
The light. We can call this the visibility phase.
Visibility. Okay.
Oh.
Step 2, the light led them.
This is guidance or influence.
Step 3, they located him.
Discovery.
And finally, step 4, they honored, blessed, and worshiped God through him.
We'll call that validation or reward. But I really want to look at where this entire chain reaction starts. It starts with step 1. They saw the star.
It starts with a mission.
Exactly. A mission. You have to actively be putting something out there into the world.
You have to be emitting a signal. If the star had somehow gone dark, the wise men would have just stopped walking.
They would have set up camp and never arrived. And this right here is where the weary listener usually gets it wrong. When we are in a really low place, what is our immediate human instinct?
To hide.
Yeah.
To just go dark and pull the covers over our heads.
Precisely. We feel deep shame. We don't want anyone to see us sitting in the manger. We really don't want people to know we are struggling with deep depression, or that our small business just went bankrupt, or that our marriage is barely holding together.
So we withdraw from the world. We turn off the light.
We tell ourselves, I'll turn the light back on when I finally get back to the palace. I'll start posting on social media again when I'm successful and look good.
But by doing that, you are actively killing the exact signal that the wise men are using to track you.
Yes. The text specifically says the wise men were drawn by an uncommon and prophetic light they had long awaited and diligently searched for.
Diligently searched for. That's a really interesting phrase to use. It implies a deep hunger.
It implies a serious market demand for this kind of light. Think about it. The world we live in is completely full of ballast lights.
What do you mean by palace lights?
People who are just pretending. People with highly polished, curated exteriors. People with all the right titles, but no substance. That is common light. It's like a cheap neon sign.
It's everywhere. You can't escape it.
But an uncommon and prophetic light, that is incredibly rare. That has true scarcity value.
So what exactly defines uncommon light for the listener trying to apply this?
It is raw authenticity in the absolute midst of suffering. It is actively holding on to your faith in God when literally everything around you is going wrong.
Right.
It is showing genuine kindness to someone else when you yourself are under immense pressure. That is what makes it uncommon, because most people crumble.
Most people get incredibly bitter.
Most people get cynical and mean.
So if you can somehow maintain your glow, your hope, your deep integrity while you're sitting in a manger situation, that is the signal.
That is the prophetic signal. That behavior tells the watching world that you are plugged into a power source that isn't dependent on the stock market or your boss's mood.
And that kind of stability is magnetic.
It's irresistibly magnetic. That is what attracts the wise men today.
And let's translate wise men for the year 2026. Who are they for our listener?
These are your destiny helpers. These are the angel investors, the new business partners, the mentors, the random opportunities that seem to come out of nowhere.
The people who can change your trajectory.
Yes. The text strongly implies that there are people out there actively looking for you, but they aren't looking for you to be flawless. They aren't waiting for you to get a verified check mark on your profile or have $1 million in funding.
They're looking for your specific light.
They are continually scanning the horizon for your specific frequency of character and faith. And here is the really hard truth for the listener today. If you are hiding your light right now because you are ashamed of your manger,
If you're withdrawing from your church community or your friends because you're embarrassed,
you are effectively turning off the only beacon that your rescue team is using to find you.
wow, that really hits home. So by hiding my struggle, I am actively preventing my help from ever arriving.
You are preventing your destiny from finding you. You are creating a total blackout in the exact spot where you desperately need a landing strip.
That is heavy. But it's incredibly liberating in a way. It means I don't have to fake it anymore. I just have to shine where I am.
You don't have to fake the location. You don't have to pretend the barn is a hotel. You just have to be true to the light. The wise men didn't walk in and say, ew, a manger, this is gross, let's go back to Herod's place.
No, they fell down and worshipped. They brought out the gold.
The gold came directly to the poverty, entirely because of the light.
This brings up another huge mental hurdle for a lot of people, though.
Yeah.
The delay mindset.
Oh, yeah.
I hear this all the time. And to be honest, I hear it in my own head, too. The feeling of, I'm just in a holding pattern right now. I'm just waiting for my real life to finally start.
The waiting room syndrome. It is an absolute epidemic right now.
It really is. People say, well, I'll serve God when I finally get a better job and have more time. Or I'll be generous to others when I finally pay off this massive student debt.
I'll be a happy person when this awful lawsuit is finally over.
We treat the present moment, the actual life we are living right now, like it's just a miserable commute to the future.
And at Words of Ebenezer tackles this exact trap head on. The source states, and I quote, "We must not allow pain, struggles, or limitations to define our worth or delay our obedience to God's purpose."
Delay our obedience. That's the phrase that kind of stings a little bit.
It should sting because it exposes a conditional clause we sneakily put on our own purpose. We are essentially looking up and telling God, or the universe, I will only function as intended when my environmental conditions are perfectly optimal.
It's like a solar panel completely refusing to work just because it's a partly cloudy day.
Or, to go back to our earlier image, it's like a flashlight refusing to turn on because the room it's in is too messy.
Walk me through that one.
Imagine you have this really high-powered tactical flashlight. You walk into a room that is cluttered, filthy, full of junk, and it's pitch black. Do you look at your flashlight and say, oh man, this room is way too ugly for my light. I think I'll just turn it back on when I get upstairs to the ballroom.
No. There's literally the only time you actually need the flashlight.
Exactly. You don't say, I'm going to save my batteries for the sunny patio outside. No. The darkness is the required context for the light. That is its whole reason for existing. Its purpose is the darkness.
So if you are currently in a really dark season, your purpose isn't actually on pause at all. Your purpose is technically in high gear.
Precisely. The darker the room gets, the more incredibly valuable the light becomes.
Wow.
If you are in a manger season, you are actually in the prime operating environment for your faith to do its job.
The text argues that our worth is internal, not external.
Yes. It suggests we absolutely must align with God's perfect plan in every season and in every position we find ourselves. That means the manger season isn't an accident. It's part of the plan. It's not some random detour you took. It is the stage you are meant to be standing on right now.
Delayed obedience. So if I'm waiting to be a good person or waiting to be helpful to my community until I'm finally successful, I am actually living in direct disobedience.
According to At Words of Ebenezer, yes, you are, because you are purposefully withholding your light from the world. And remember the mechanics we just talked about. The light is the very thing that attracts the change you want.
So by waiting for the change before you shine, you are guaranteeing that the change never comes.
It is a completely self-fulfilling prophecy of stagnation. You lock yourself in the dark.
We really have to break that cycle. And thankfully, the source gives us a brilliant strategy for this. It pivots to this massive idea of influence versus environment.
This right here is the absolute pivot point of the entire text. Quote, "Your environment does not determine your influence. Your light does."
I really feel like we need to just tattoo that on our foreheads. Your environment does not determine your influence.
It is the ultimate antidote to the listener's constant worry. Think about Jesus in the manger again, just purely looking at the data points. If environment controlled influence, Jesus would have been completely ignored by history.
Let's look at the metrics. He was a helpless baby. He was born to extremely poor parents.
He was sleeping in a dirty stable. He was born in an occupied territory under oppressive Roman rule.
By all normal metrics, political, social, financial, he was a total nobody in a nowhere place.
Zero leverage, absolutely zero capital. And yet he attracted the highest possible honor from the wealthiest, wisest men of the era. Why? Because the environment is entirely secondary. The environment is just the painted backdrop on a stage. The light is the main character.
And the source brings in a specific scripture right here to back this whole concept up. Matthew 5:14.
You are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hidden.
Now wait a minute here. The text talks about a city on a hill, but we have been talking this whole time about mangers and dark valleys and pits. How do those two things connect? If I feel like I'm stuck in a valley, how am I suddenly a city on a hill?
That is the absolute beauty of this metaphor. The scripture doesn't say you are a city on a hill only when you are literally standing on top of a mountain.
Okay.
It says the very nature of being a light instantly makes you a city on a hill.
Oh, I see. It's a spiritual elevation, not a geographic or topographic one.
Correct. Light naturally elevates itself. You simply cannot be hidden if you make the choice to shine. Light has strict physics to it. It travels outward. It violently cuts through darkness.
So you could be in the deepest dungeon imaginable, but if you light a single match, that tiny match instantly becomes the focal point of the entire room.
It immediately commands attention. It becomes the hill in that room.
So even if I feel incredibly low right now, my light is still high.
Your light is undeniable. It pierces the dark. And actually, the source author interjects with a very sudden hallelujah right in the middle of the text here.
I noticed that. It's like they were writing and just couldn't help themselves from shouting it.
It's an involuntary outburst of joy. And I honestly think we should feel that too when we read this. It's the sudden, massive realization like, wait a minute, I am not actually stuck here.
It is the joy that comes from finally realizing your current intense suffering hasn't disqualified you from your purpose at all.
You thought you were totally out of the game because you were just bench warming out in the cold manger, but at Words of Ebenezer is grabbing you by the shoulders and saying, no, the actual game is being played right where you are sitting.
That is incredibly refreshing. It completely takes the pressure off of constantly trying to plot and escape, and it puts all the focus on simply being.
Being. That is the key operative word.
So let's get really practical, because we love practical application here on the Deep Dive. We are moving into the final call to action section. The source gives us 3 very specific, pointed commands. And they aren't vague, flowery suggestions. They are highly active.
Yes, they are. This is exactly where the rubber meets the road. If you are the listener right now and you are nodding your head saying, okay, I buy it, I really want to be the light in my manger, but what do I actually do today? Here's the answer. Command number 1.
Shine where you are.
Where you are, not where you desperately want to be in 5 years.
Not where you used to be before you lost the job. Not where your highly successful neighbor is right now. Where you are today.
If you are stuck in a deeply toxic workplace,
Shine right there. Be the one single person in the office who refuses to participate in the gossiping.
what if you are in a failing marriage?
Shine there. Be the partner who consistently brings patience and grace to the table when the other one doesn't.
What if you're lying in a hospital bed facing a scary diagnosis? Shine there. Encourage the exhausted nurses who come in to check your vitals. Ask them how their day is going. Just do not wait to move before you turn the light on.
It's all about immediacy. Turn the key and start the engine right now.
Right. And then we hit command number 2. Serve where you stand.
This one adds a layer of utility to the light.
It does, because divine light isn't just an aesthetic glow, it's highly functional. Serve. Utility creates inherent value. Even when you are trapped in a manger, you can still be useful to someone else.
Even in your lowest possible season, you can still find a way to help someone else carry their burden.
And ironically, serving others is very often the quickest, most effective way to pull yourself out of a deep depression or a season of self-pity.
Because it forces you to get your eyes off your own lack.
Correct. When you are serving, you are flowing outward. You are actively engaging with life again. You suddenly become a crucial asset to your environment rather than just acting like a helpless victim of it.
And then we get to command number 3. This is, without a doubt, my favorite phrasing in the entire text.
Yeah.
Let God's light through you become the reason destiny finds you.
The reason destiny finds you. Really stop and think about the implications of that phrasing.
It's wild because usually we are explicitly told to go out and chase your destiny.
Go find yourself.
Hunt down your dreams. Hustle harder. Grind 24/7.
It is always pitched as this exhausting, active pursuit, and frankly, we are all exhausted.
Beyond exhausted.
We're exhausted from running marathons, trying to catch up to our destiny. We feel like if we stop running for even 1 second, we'll miss the bus and fail at life. But Words of Ebenezer suggests a complete reversal of the physics we're used to. It's a magnetic reversal.
Instead of a little tugboat desperately chasing after the massive ship, you become the lighthouse.
That is the perfect visual image for this. The solid lighthouse does not detach from the rocks and run around the ocean looking for lost boats.
It doesn't scream through a megaphone, hey, I'm over here, come look at me.
No, it stands firm on the rock. It stays exactly where it was built. It weathers the brutal storm. And simply because it stays put and violently shines its light into the dark, the ships naturally navigate to it.
The wise men navigated to the manger. The tiny manger didn't magically sprout wheels and travel to the wise men.
Exactly. The manger stood its ground. The light inside it did the heavy lifting of attraction.
That just takes such an immense weight off my shoulders. It means I don't have to fix every single broken thing in my life instantly. I don't have to aggressively network my way out of this deep hole I'm in.
No, you don't. Your only real job today is to maintain the light.
Keep the fire burning.
Yes. Your only job is to firmly keep the faith, to keep your character intact, to keep your hope alive when it makes no logical sense to do so. That is the exact signal that your destiny is scanning the horizon for.
It's the stationary light strategy.
And it is the ultimate strategy for the weary. If you are honestly too physically or emotionally weak to run anymore, you can still shine.
If you are far too tired to keep fighting the current, you can still glow.
And this text absolutely promises that doing that is enough. In fact, it's actually more than enough. It is the core mechanism of divine purpose.
The luminescence of divine purpose. It makes so much absolute sense now. The purpose isn't found in the place you stand. It's found in the light you emit.
And that emitted light is the very thing that eventually changes the place.
We have covered a massive amount of ground today, from the high palaces of our own minds to the really dirty mangers of our reality.
It has been quite a journey, and I truly hope the listener feels that profound internal shift right now.
Let's do a quick recap for the listener who is maybe driving to work or doing a pile of dishes or just sitting quietly in their car and needing a moment of peace before they go inside. We started today with the radical idea that high position does not equal high achievement.
Correct. We firmly establish that real power is the internal light you carry, especially when you are forced into your lowest seasons.
Then we look closely at the manger paradox, how the lowest physical setting possible ended up housing the highest spiritual power in history.
And we saw how the wise men representing your destiny helpers were not discouraged in the slightest by the awful location because their eyes were completely locked onto the signal.
They saw the brilliant star, not the dirty stable.
Then we talked through the actual mechanics of it all. Visibility directly leads to honor. If you hide your painful struggle, you are actively hiding your signal from the people sent to help you.
And we completely dismantled the delay mindset. You do not wait until you reach the palace to start shining. You shine brightly to transform the manger you're currently in. And finally, we landed on that beautifully simple three-part strategy. Shine where you are. Serve where you stand. and let destiny find you.
It is a message of profound, unshakable hope. It fully validates where the listener is right now without for a second leaving them stuck there. It says, you are here, it hurts, and that is okay. But you're not just here. You are a powerful light in here.
These insights, again, were curated from the incredible writings of Words of Ebenezer. A really huge thank you to that source for this massive perspective shift today.
Absolutely. It is an absolutely necessary word for anyone who is currently walking through the fire.
Before we go, we always like to leave you, the listener, with a final provocative thought. Something to chew on for the rest of the week. Something that wasn't explicitly written in the text, but builds directly on it. And I know you had something bubbling up during the break earlier.
I did, yeah. I've been really thinking hard about the actual logistics of the wise men's long journey. To finally get to Jesus in that little manger, they had to walk past a lot of other really impressive things.
They were coming straight into Jerusalem, the capital city.
Right. Which means they literally walked right past King Herod's massive, opulent palace. They walked past heavily armed Roman garrisons. They walked past the beautiful, sprawling homes of the wealthiest merchants in the region.
They walked past all the supposed success stories of their day.
They really did. They walked past the exact places that held all the status, all the deep comfort, and all the political power. They just walked right by them without stopping. Why? Because there was absolutely no light emitting from there.
Herod was sitting in the high palace, but his spirit was completely dark.
Exactly. So here's the crucial question for you, the listener, right now. If the wise men confidently walked right past the high palaces just to get to the low manger, what palace are you currently envious of that actually has far less real power than where you are standing right now?
Ooh. Man, that is the question. We spend so much of our precious energy being incredibly jealous of other people's palaces, their big promotions, their seemingly perfect family lives, their massive financial breaks.
But if there is no authentic light residing in those places, the wise men aren't stopping there anyway. They're just walking right on by.
But they might be stopping at your messy manger right now.
Yes. So please, whatever you do, do not trade your incredibly powerful manger for an empty, dark palace.
That is the ultimate truth today. Don't trade the light for the location.
Just be the light. Attract the honor you deserve. Shine exactly where you stand.
Thank you for diving so deep with us today.
Keep shining out there.
We'll see you on the next deep dive.
There's a spark in the air. Can you feel it now? Heaven is moving, shaking the ground. Dry bones rising, hearts set ablaze. This is the hour, this is the place. No more silence, no more fear. The King is here, His power is near. The church is on fire, burning bright. Glory is falling, breaking the night. The Spirit is moving, hearts ignite. Jesus, awaken your bride. Chains are falling, strongholds break. Revival is here, there's no mistake. From every nation, from shore to shore, we stand as one, we won't be ignored. No more silence, no more fear. The King is here, His power is near. The church is on fire, burning bright. Glory is falling, breaking the night. The Spirit is moving, hearts ignite. Jesus, awaken your bride. Oh, let it burn, let it spread, like a wildfire spirit-led. Holy passion, holy flame, will never be the same. The church is on fire, burning bright. Glory is falling, breaking the night. The Spirit is moving, hearts ignite. Jesus, awaken your bride. This fire won't fade, this fire won't die. We are the church, we're burning inside.